or screaming?
Screaming.
He probably screamed too.
Now, will we be able to see him up there? If anybody's that's speaking,
See who?
if anybody's gonna speak.
I think so. You mean from the public?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
okay.
You know, but there's no one.
There is nobody?
Okay.
There's nobody out there yet?
But I know what you're talking about.
You know, there's one lady, she lives all the way down in Troy that watches our
It
meeting.
is, yes.
Really?
She's that bored.
I was gonna say,
No, they're moving up here.
Oh, okay, I was like, why would you wanna watch Pinconning?
I was thinking that you're that bored that you can watch us.
They're gonna move up here.
How
so
did she even find us?
She's gonna have 2 kids going to the school next year.
Oh, wow, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So she wants to make sure it's a good place to go.
Okay, well, it's 7 o'clock. Shall we order by saying the pledge?
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, your roll call.
Linda Anderson, Tom Baderfer,
Present.
Mark Kuchar, Brad Doobie,
Present.
Chris Ravish,
Present.
Paul Palmville,
Present.
Nicole Jones.
Present. Okay, any additions, deletions, changes to the agenda? No? Okay, so,
Well-
we need a motion to accept the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
And
Nicole, we are gonna put the Spartan on next board meeting. The student Spartan will be moved off the agenda.
Oh, okay.
And we'll replace it with band uniforms.
So make a note of that. Any community comments on the agenda items? Jay, do we have anyone online?
Okay, everybody?
No? Okay. So in place of the Spartan Spotlight tonight, we have a band presentation.
Correct. This is Miss Mills.
Right now?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That's fast.
Yeah, we got through the first part of the agenda pretty quick.
What?
We got through the upper part of the agenda quickly.
You guys are fast, I like it. I got a whole armful of stuff here. So I shared a presentation with, oh yeah, here it is. I made a little slideshow for you to look at. But we've been working on a project. Actually we started it last March, but then everything went closed, so we haven't been doing it anymore. But we have been working on getting a new set of uniforms for the marching band because ours are ancient. So if you go ahead and click to the next one, I brought these for you actually. So these are the uniforms we currently are wearing. We have no idea how old they are, have not been able to track down a date of origin. So some of the reasons we're looking to replace them is, A, they're kind of old. The jacket style is pretty outdated. This is like a really old, very traditional marching band jacket style, which they don't really make them this way anymore. And we've got colors on here that are no longer our school colors, which I think is kind of a big deal if we're going out in the community. I think it's good for us to adequately represent our school. And just some other small things, like it's got an old Spartan logo on it on the side. It also has it on the hat. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but it's like a really, really old Spartan logo, like we don't really use it anymore. So they still are holding up well, but I think it's time for a change. So we've been working on this. And then I also put a picture of our jackets in there, which I think these are a little bit newer, but they are pretty thin and they don't really do much other than keep us dry. So, you know, in cold marching band season, this is kind of we wear these a lot, but they don't really do a lot. So, so these are what we're working with right now. And then also I brought this as well. I don't know if I can hold up the whole thing myself, but this is our parade banner. Oh, thank you. We have this parade banner, which nothing is actually like wrong with it. It's just really old. It says Marching Spartans, which we use this for more than just marching band stuff. So, and I mean, this is just kind of getting old and tattered and stuff. So we'd like to replace the whole thing. Thank you. And that's kind of the project we've been working on designing. And like this goes with our jackets now. So the new one we're hoping will match the next one, this is just an outline of the process, that we went through. It's kind of been a long time coming, especially with the COVID shutdowns, but, our company is Orifice, who they have local branches here, and then we have a guy who is actually, they have like a representative that has been working with me. He's a former band director from the area. So he has been in, we've been tossing around some ideas, and basically once we know what we want, we create a new design for the jackets, so the top half, and then we've designed a new shako to go with it, which is our hats, and raincoats, which they make some like these, but they're actually like quilted and thick and nice and will actually do a good job for us in the winter. And then the banner as well, which will go with the uniforms we designed. So that was a long process to like kind of toss things around, get it approved. And then we have a sample, they actually make a sample of the one we select, and send it in, which I have a picture on the next slide in a second. They send us a sample, I look at it, say yes, like this, don't like this, anything like that, and we send it back after a while. I have an approval form and whatever. So send it back, and then our last step, which is what we're on now, is to get all the children measured. So we have uniforms for our next incoming set, and then they fill in the gaps with, what typical amounts we might need for future kids and stuff. So we're looking about 75 uniforms, which we have we'll be around 40 next year for marching band, so we have some extra to play with when we need it. So we're measuring right now, and we've been kind of getting all the finances in order. And then once we deliver the money and the measurements, there's about 3-month production time before they will deliver it to us, and they drive it up here for us. They got a whole delivery system. So it's been a long process going through this. But we finally are to the last couple of steps. So I wanted to show you some of the ones that we worked on. These were possible contenders, which was it was kind of overwhelming just to see a new design in general. We actually put out a little voting booth at our last fundraiser and had people, they put $1 in whichever one they wanted. So these were some of the options, but the winner is this one on the left. So that will be our people on the field. That's the sample that was delivered to us. I had it in the band room for a little while. So this was the winner, and the jacket and the hat go together, which is really cool. It's a cool effect, especially when the crowds are sitting far away. That white stripe is pretty neat. And then the drum major on the other side is the one, up on the podium doing the conducting. So theirs is usually a little bit different. Our drum major uniform is primarily white, so that's a little bit of a change for us, but those were the winners. And then the banner on the next one also goes with it. The Spartan logo is a little funky. We're kind of working with that still, but the background goes with the jackets. So when we're, doing parades and stuff, we look like one cool unit marching down the street or whatever. So, so these are just, I think they're just necessary updates, after however many years we've been using the same old stuff. So that's where we're at with the designing and stuff. And then I think the next one, this is the costs that we're looking at. And pretty much everything that we're ordering on the left there, I gave you all of those. So the banner will come with a cool frame to help it not blow in the wind that we have all the time. And we're looking about 75 custom jackets and the hats, or 79, 75 regular, 4 for the drum major. Some extra plumes, which are the feathers. And then rain jackets, which will be heavy duty and really nice for us to use. And then they do a one-time fee just to create a logo and screen print it and stuff for you, and then the banner there at the end. So our grand total down there at the bottom, which is a bit of a daunting number for you, but that's kind of what we've been working on. And so we have, I think I put it on the next one, so far for the funding, we've got about 27,000 that have been donated to the boosters towards this cause. And we are looking for, to finish off the last 10K there. And we do have an application in for the Chippewa grant. And then we're kind of still working on the rest of it through donations from community people or school groups, in parentheses, the Board of Ed. So it's on a roll. We're almost to the last step, and we're just looking to close these final loose ends. So I wanted to show you what we're working on, and hopefully put that to you if you wanted to donate towards our last 10K for the uniform purchase. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. So hopefully, our goal is to have them in for the fall. So we can come back from the pandemic looking really cool. It'd be awesome.
And
So,
Rachel's put a lot of time into this, and I told her to come here tonight to kind of give you an update where, you know, where she is. I mentioned the booster before. You know, we do a lot of, we support, and we can talk with Mr. Van Dries, but, you know, the district normally will help with athletic uniforms, which we do periodically. I know the Booster Club helps with them too. So, you know, we'll go back and take a look to see the last time we've had to put money toward the band uniforms, but again, she is writing a grant for the Chippewa tribe that I'm gonna submit. And if you want, I could always discuss this with the budget committee or extracurricular, but otherwise we can just kind of see where she comes up with the grants and then maybe supplement.
How much of a grant are you writing for?
I put in the full 10,000, just,
Okay.
you know, to see where,
When's that
Yeah.
done?
what?
It's in
When's it come in?
April.
I don't
Is it
know, we
April?
submitted over
It's
spring break.
April, yeah, April, I submitted, we'll know right before the end of the school year.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
gotta be done in April.
That cuts it
Submission.
Cuts it close too, don't it? June,
Yeah.
July, August, yeah.
We can-
Yeah.
Push it right on.
Yeah, and they are, they're not pressuring, but they're pressuring a little bit, because they've got some big Detroit orders that are coming in too,
Now, I
so.
see you're ordering 75 now. If you
Mhm.
do, does that seem to be the number you want to grow your program to, or is that?
Well, ideally, we get up to like in the hundreds, but yes. Well, we usually order, there's like a percentage, ratio, I don't remember what he said it is exactly, but you order for how many you have coming in, and then an additional percentage of that group.
Okay, so there's a formula for that.
Yeah, yeah, and then once we send them our specific measurements, they will also fill in the gaps, like, you know, schools usually have about this percentage of this size and this percentage of whatever. So we do have like, alternatives if needed, and we can adjust those and stuff too, so. Yeah, that's what we're looking at, hopefully 75, and then maybe we need to order more, but we can cross that bridge when we get there, so. All right, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for us? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
They used them when you were in school?
Probably, if they look
It seems familiar, and you were right behind me,
There was
so.
yellow in my basketball
Yeah,
uniform.
I remember everything had yellow in it in the 80s.
And that really isn't.
No,
Well, now we're putting black in a lot of the uniforms, and that's not one of our colors.
no,
either.
everyone was black for a while.
The
So-
black is the new white, I think. But yeah, that's true. Sometimes we have uniforms that look more black than they are green.
Mhm. So, I've heard some comments just from people and spectators saying, you know, why are they all black? That's not our school color, you know, like, but, yeah, so that's just a comment I heard. Green and white, not green and black. Okay, so we're moving on, can we get a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda and pay the bills at $575,163.93.
Support?
Motion to support, do we?
Roll
Roll call vote?
Tom Bitterfer,
Yes.
Brad Doobie,
Yes.
Chris Ravish,
Yes.
Paul Palmville,
Yes.
and Nicole Jones.
Yes. Do we vote to approve the minutes?
No, it's already done.
We're done.
Okay, yeah.
We're down to communication.
Okay, well, I guess it's my stuff then. So communication from Mike, our superintendent?
Thank you, Mrs. Vice President.
Okay.
A couple of items here I have to hit on every time is the return to learn. I just want to kind of update the board. Again, we've been doing pretty well with our structure that we have to go and submit this to the state. We have to let them know. We have to update our plans once a year, once a month, right?
Once more.
Every month. So we kind of included in our talking points. We've had a pretty good run without very many cases, knock on wood. Haven't had a lot of quarantines, but The one thing that I've been discussing and communicating to staff has been the travel surrounding, spring break. And, you know, I've been talking closely with the health department, and as of last Friday, they were still under the guidance of staff and students who travel domestically are encouraged to, quarantine but are not required. And staff and students who go internationally have to quarantine for a minimum of 7 days with a negative test. Now, whether or not those recommendations change, at this point, we're looking at coming back after spring break in an in-person format, barring any changes or orders from the health department. And I've tried to make that clear, but again, it's subject to change. But is there any questions about that? I know in the community, I've had a few questions, but anybody hear anything, you know,
What
any?
about, I saw they're gonna have like the rapid testing available.
That's, yeah, thank you for reminding me. The ISD is gonna have, rapid testing available for parents and staff that choose to get that done at the ISD?
It's at the ISD on the 5th and the 7th.
Okay, so we're gonna recommend that if they are traveling, that they go get the rapid testing done?
We are making it I mean, we can, at this point,
We
we're,
can't, I know we can't require it, but at least
right, exactly.
recommend it.
We can recommend it, we put it out there to staff, and it's been on a,
All staff and on the website right now.
but yes, we'll put that, we'll make an awareness piece of that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
By watching the news tonight before I came in, they got their hands full down in Florida, so.
I know, I saw Miami Beach looks like.
Yep.
Yeah.
The 2021-2022 calendar, I've been working with at Teachers Union at this point with the calendar. At this point, it looks similar to this year, but there's a couple of wrinkles, and I want the community to know that it might not be released as soon as we normally get it out there, because there's talk in the legislator of adding days to the year. Have you heard that one? And there's also discussion about, last year when they adopted the budget for the state, they allowed the schools to take a certain amount of hours and apply it toward instructional time, of PD. So we basically took 3 days of professional development and counted it toward student instruction. You could use up to 5 days, but we chose to use 3. There's talk of maybe eliminating that gap or that process because of because of COVID. So I've made 2 calendars. One that is a flat 180-day calendar without using any PD days and that would start us out, and staff would return in, I believe, in the middle, I think the week of the 14th. And then students would start on the week of the 20, whatever that following week would be. I've built a calendar utilizing those 3 days, and it pushes the days. We would be just one more week later in August. So I don't know exactly which one to get approved. I mean, because it could change, and I guess it's easier to take days away than it is to add days, but I'm gonna work through it, see if I get any closer to any more direction from the legislation, and then I'll bring a calendar to get approved as soon as I get. Tom, they haven't agreed on a calendar yet for next year, have they?
No.
I think, again, they're in the same boat. I mean, you make a calendar, then they have 5 days, and then your calendar's blown up.
Right.
But I do wanna give parents some direction. But the way that things work and the way Labor Day falls too, it could be a second week of June release as opposed to a first week, but it's just up in the air right now. But I want people to know we're discussing that because I know people make a lot of plans, they wanna know what the next year looks like, graduation, spring breaks, and winter breaks as well. So I'll keep you posted on that. The COVID clinic this weekend went very well. I was here early, and there was a lot of people. We put over 600 people through our gym.
Oh, that's great.
and there was a lot of, the health department was very appreciative of our, letting us use our facilities. You know, we utilized the big gym where they came in one door and they exited out. Our custodial staff and administration set it up pretty good, so it worked out well. They'll be coming back, I think on April 10th, it's 3 weeks. They'll do the second shots. And they did ask me, I did talk to Joel from the health department. He wanted me to possibly survey students in the near future to see if we had a interest in 16 to 18-year-olds to get the shot, because it's, I think, Moderna. One of the shots is approved for 16 through 18-year-olds. So if we do a survey and there's enough students that are interested, we could maybe do a clinic for the students as well. But that's, again, just based on him asking me if I would put feelers out there. Any comments, or anybody have any questions about the clinic? Okay. Supplemental COVID funding. The schools have been blessed with a large amount of COVID funding, but we all don't have a ton of answers. So I tried to confuse you and put a bunch of pieces of paper in your board pack. I wanted to give you some information. There's actually 3 pots of money, and Chris can chime in. There was the ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and then recently this last one that was passed is ESSER 3. What does the acronym stand for, do you know?
Money.
It has to do
Educational-
with educational support.
Yeah, well, anyway, it's the federal stimulus money for schools. And some of it, we've already used for things like hotspots in our Edgenuity program. We have other costs that have come in, obviously, with COVID that we wouldn't have had. But there's some money that's, we're getting $450 per student for ESSER 2, and part of that money is hung up in legislation where they can't, if you followed it, there's some bills out there that they won't release the money until the governor allows the health department to relinquish control of emergency power. So about half the money we've been awarded, it's in Meg's, right?
Yes, we have the ability to assign it to an expense right now, but only about half of that.
And then the next pot of money, the ESSER 3, we have till 2024 to actually expend it, but we will definitely be trying to do it before then.
ESSER 2 also has an extended amount of time that we can use to expend it.
Okay. Any questions about those? I put some descriptions in your board packet that kind of summarize them, but it definitely will. And, you know, the budget committee is aware of it. It is a lot of one-time money, so we want to make sure we do it, we get a good bang for our dollar, and that it's something that we can, it's not going to tax the budget in future years. Extended learning, I met with the principals recently, talking about summer school in certain ways, and maybe after-school programs, and next year as far as tutoring to help. Because one of the criteria you see in all these pots of money is they want to address learning loss. They want to be able to offer summer school, after-school programs. And if we do a coordinated summer school, we're going to have to, have transportation. So parents can, if we're going to give them the opportunity to go, we're going to bus them as well. So all that would be money we could pull from that COVID money. So we're trying to plan, Mrs. Shireen and Mr. Sanford and I sat down, and Mr. Woodruff, we just given some ideas on, do you want to interject anything?
Yeah, because there was a meeting that was held today that gave more insight to that and some of the information provided. So we were looking at 3-day model, 4-day models, but in order to acquire the money, which would be $550 per pupil, it would be a required 5-day a week for 8 weeks summer school. So that's a new criteria that we just found out about. So we have another meeting scheduled for Thursday to further discuss that and see if that's something, a route we're gonna go. So just a lot of pending things up in the air, questions about it, where, who, when, all of that. But that is the new criteria that we just found out at 3:30 today, that they're requiring it be 5 days and for the full 8 weeks in order to meet the
for the update.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of caveats, there's a lot of deadlines that they want you to have. They can't really give you a solid deadline, but then they give you one and it's, you know, tomorrow. So it's interesting, but we're gonna work through it. Because a lot of the plans have to be kind of, you know, 20 miles above earth to really, but we're looking at the models, but you know, I'll be honest with you, we're gonna have to be able to staff these programs. And you know, it's not gonna be easy to just flip a switch and say, we're gonna get this, enough teachers to come in and teach these kids.
Mike, that's K through 12, right? Or is it?
Yeah, it's
is it just
K-12.
That would be the K-8
K-8 would be the summer school, but then the credit recovery is the 9-12.
Okay, and that's gonna run basically the same time? That recovery, is it gonna be,
We're probably, I don't know
The recovery has different criteria, because the summer school has to be in person, where the recovery could be a virtual model.
okay,
So that's the huge difference, is having kids housed in the buildings for the programming, where the recovery, we could do something, a hybrid or blended model, where the students wouldn't have to be here, teachers wouldn't necessarily have to be on the campus as well. So there's a lot of variation between the secondary and the K-8.
How many hours a day is that?
They have not, they've given recommendations. Today, the recommendations they provided was 120 minutes of ELA and 90 minutes of math. But then we have to look at, do all our students need that? We're looking at our little ones that maybe just need ELA, but do they have to stay then for that 90 minutes of math if they're meeting, you know, if they're at grade level? So there's, again, that's just a recommendation. And there's also, they are also wanting enrichment programs, like your specials still to be included, field trips. There's a lot of things that go along with it because they want the enrichment part of that, the innovative component, and they want community-based organizations supporting it as well. So how do we do all that? And the due date to the state is April 15th. Yeah. So, we have another meeting set.
And I just need to look at it a little closer. There's pots and pots of money, like I said, that you can use for learning recovery. Some of these models and guidelines are for like additional money above and beyond what, let's say we could take the money to fund our own summer school, which would be 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, for 6 weeks. We just wouldn't get extra money per kid if we didn't follow their model, which we may not be able to duplicate that model, to be honest with you. But we'd still have money from the ESSER funds to fund our own brand, you know what does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we would be able to develop something we could probably staff and manage, but not get the additional $100 a kid or $50 there's different pots that we
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
and some of that's based on Michigan legislation, right?
Yeah, everything, like, it could change tomorrow. I mean,
Because, like the Colvin money, the ESSER money, you draw it down, let's say the money we just did, we could use that to fund learning loss and develop our own program. The state, if we want to access some of these additional dollars, you have to build it to their specs. And they may be unrealistic, but we'd still be able to design it, but just based on a different funding source, I think. Wouldn't hit our general fund, it would just be a different COVID pot of money.
well, just remember, if they keep the bar high enough, they know you can't hit it.
Well, I just found out today they want 5 days a week. That's a grind in the summertime. If
Yeah, that
kids
was-
aren't.
because then, I mean, if we're looking at an April, or you just brought a possible return date of August 14th, that means our teachers would be teaching summer school till August 4th, meaning they would have 10 days off.
Do you want a sub, maybe?
Nope.
It says,
We got
Right there.
two
it says
potential
certified
subs.
teacher.
Chris can.
Well, it's a good thing we'll have a principal there.
Not to be there.
So anyway, hopefully I get you a little more in tune with what we're dealing with, and,
Yeah.
thanks Christine and John for working with me on that.
They are gonna feed the kids, right?
Have to feed them, so basically you are looking at a basically,
School day.
yeah, duplicating your school day in the summertime. And I'm telling you, a lot of those, our support staff do different jobs in the summer.
Right.
And if they're gonna not, they may not quit a job that they normally work in the summer for maybe a one-time deal for summer school.
Mhm.
So we'll work through it and do the best plan we can.
Thanks, Mike. Interesting. Any other reports from administrative staff? Go ahead, Sue.
Hi, I just wanted to follow up on the comment that was made during the last board meeting. It was posted but not publicized. I did some follow-up on that, talked to the staff and made sure that they're following all the guidelines.
Can I interject something?
Sure.
Just a reminder, last meeting there was a complaint about food service. I told the board I would follow up with that person. That person may have used a fictitious name, because there's nobody in our district with that name that we can find as any contacts whatsoever. Principals looked, I looked, Catherine looked, and it's kind of an unusual name. So I'm not quite sure that someone just didn't use a fictitious name. If they didn't and they wanna try to reach out and they're watching this, we would be happy to.
Did you, check out the Harrison area? I mean, it might have been.
Clare County, no. But, I would tell you that we tried to identify this person, we couldn't reach out to him. So Sue then, did these steps to make sure that if there wasn't a sheet.
I wanted to do due diligence and make sure that I was following up on it. The comment did mention elementary, middle school, and high school. So it was kind of a broad comment and negative. But I did talk to our staff, made sure that we are following the protocol that we need to be doing. Temperatures are being taken and all of that. I also did a email, reached out to staff that are currently eating with our program. So like at Linwood, I know there's a couple of teachers that are getting the same meal our students are right in the classroom. And I did not unfortunately get an email response back from them, but I did have a high school, a staff person from the high school that responded and said that they love the meals. They've never had any complaints, and that, it's always been very good. So, so just wanted to let you know that we take it to heart and that we did follow through on it. And I touched base with all the administrators to see if there was some information that maybe they had gotten and didn't, pass on, not thinking the importance of it at that time, because sometimes parents will be on a rant over multiple issues, and food service might be one that falls away from the mind. So I did touch bases on that, and we've not had any other complaints come in that we're aware of. So I just wanted you to know that. Okay,
And
any questions?
just know that this year it's different. There's, the selection isn't what it once was. They have to order basically, in
Well-
the high school, they have 3 choices.
The high school, they have 3 choices. The difference in the high school level is that they don't have the selection within their choices. So like a high school, they would get a main entree, or they would come in, they'd have a selection of 3 different sandwiches, or they'd have a selection of a couple different types of pizza. And now we've had to narrow that down to 1 for each category. So they have 3 choices. Elementary school would have 3 choices every day last year. This year they have 2. They have a hot choice or a cold choice. And that's because of the way that we have to package everything and present it to the kids. And also getting some of our foods has been really difficult, so. Okay?
All right, thanks, Sue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other reports from administrative staff?
I don't have a report, but I was just wanted to say, I wanna thank, it was on the consent agenda for the early literacy coach. I just wanna thank the board for approving that, because, I don't know, Jen may have not met Jen Gord yet, you may have heard her name quite a bit, but she is doing a phenomenal job. I can tell you, as a first-year administrator down the elementary level, she has come in and assisted greatly. I ask her something, even our summer school stuff, she's jumped on and helped supporting that, trying to find resources, for us for reading. So I think she's gonna be a great asset to our district, and I look forward to working with her next year, and I know John does as well, so it must be for John, because he doesn't like speaking, but, but I am very grateful to have her, and I know we will see the benefits of her, immediately, so I'm looking forward to that transition into that next year.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nope. I think we did have one report from a board committee.
I believe that Paul reported on this last time, these are just
Yeah.
exact copies.
Okay.
And we are working on those items. We did get back a quote on the chimney. It'll be in your next board packet, and Paul's working, or Dan's working on the write-up for the wall at Linwood as we speak. He's working in the annex, and, just, things are moving along.
Okay. Non-consent agenda. The equal reconfirmation. Any public comments from parents or guardians on the extended learning plan? Is that what?
I move to approve the reaffirmation of the ECOLA.
For the month of March.
For the month of
Support
March.
it. Okay, I'll support it.
Yeah, you gotta do it every month.
Roll call vote?
I see that. Tom Badiford,
Yes.
Chris Ravish.
Yes.
Brad Doobie,
Yes.
Paul Palmville,
Yes.
Nicole Jones.
Yes.
No, that's for public comment.
Any public comments today?
No.
Okay, no? None? Okay then. Any board members have any discussion items they wanna bring up at this time? No,
Nope,
nothing today?
not for me.
Okay.
Nope, not for me today.
Nicole, I did have something, I've been accused of adding items to my, all I wanna do is throw something out there. I was contacted by the health, Standish Health Clinic. Remember we talked a couple years ago about getting a health clinic here at the school?
Mhm, yeah.
He reached out to me, last week, said there's some grant opportunities that we might have access to. So I'll be meeting with him to rekindle those talks about maybe getting a health clinic over at the academy. So,
That was the director from Sterling Area Health Center? that-
yeah, old George Olson's his name.
Okay.
But he reached out, so I'll have more at the next board meeting.
Okay. And I guess if there's nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
We are adjourned.
Good job.
Been accused of adding stuff, but that's a fact.
Did Mark stop by and get that?
I forgot to call you
He's
today.
got it electronically, but we'll keep it. Okay. You wanna make sure Mark wants